Every single day, people take unwanted or unused items to thrift and antique stores across the country. But as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and we're here to prove it. Identify valuable things before you throw them away. Join us as we show and tell of treasures found and sold by a full-time reseller with the hopes of helping you find some treasures of your own. Welcome to the What's Sold podcast.
Welcome back to the What's Sold podcast. I am Brandon with my friend Matt, who is oftentimes confused with a Southern gentleman named Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Matt is not Rusty, but Rusty is Matt. How's that?
In some ways. Yeah, Rusty is, I try to make him the best of me, not being like necessarily aloof and, sketchy kind of seeming on the surface.
Right.
More like what he's trying to do, and he's trying to help people and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
That's true, because when I think of you, I don't think of a helpful guy. I think of a recluse.
Yeah,
I think
that's
of
not me.
A guy that's in an ivory tower that sits down and lords over his people. Yeah.
I'm just like Scrooge McDuck. I'm just diving into my tower of coins and spitting them out and swimming around.
It's old Scrooge McDuck. I saw a meme or a video on LinkedIn recently. They were talking about even Scrooge McDuck knew not to just sit on your money.
Yeah.
They were showing a little clip. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to take financial advice from Scrooge McDuck. I'm just spitballing here, but it feels
I mean, if
like...
you've ever seen the Disney cartoon adaptation of, what was that? The Charles Dickens story,
A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol, yeah, where he clearly is not good because he's not Scrooge McDuck. He's whatever the
Ebenezer Scrooge.
He's Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah, so
right.
he's counting his coins late at night. He forewent like true love with this woman because he just cared more about money, and he's been shown his whole life in a dream, and then he turns it around. But so I guess I'm the dude counting the coins at night, but Rusty's the one out,
That's true.
handing
Rusty
out coins and helping people.
It's a manifestation of your enlightened Ebenezer Scrooge. You are Ebenezer Scrooge. Is that
it's
what you're
who
trying
I
to
want
say?
to be. Yes, there's
Well, don't we all have, to a degree, there's a name. You're the shrink type person in this relationship, but there's a name for like when we see our best self, or our, we have this image of ourselves as what we want to be, but we're maybe not quite. Like, I like to think of myself as a kind and gentle person, and I can definitely be kind and gentle, but probably not necessarily my everyday persona. My wife would say, you were mean to that person. I'm like, I didn't mean to be, but
I guess I would be considered projecting what I want to be onto this character, right? And then trying to display that. It's, you fake it till you make it, they say, I suppose.
Well, it's funny. I've been watching the Ken Burns series on country music. I saw it when it first came out, and I've been rewatching it, and it's just number one, you and I both love music and live music, and I love Roots Americana has always been deep in my heart. They used to do this fiddle contest where I was from on the West Coast of all places. It's this old time fiddle contest, and I remember growing up and I just loved it. And so they're talking about these how the music transformed, and it started off being called hillbilly music. And hillbilly was not a positive term; it was a negative term. It was considered like people that lived in Appalachia where we lived didn't necessarily like to be called hillbillies, but they've sort of embraced that. And Rusty is sort of I think there's this sort of caricature of the Southern person or the hillbilly Appalachian they're mean and they're racist and you can't trust them and they fly Confederate flags. And there's some of that for sure, but there are far more good and kind people in Appalachia that are just normal, everyday people just doing what they can do to feed their families.
Yeah.
And Rusty, to me, embodies that.
Yeah, he is. When you say hillbilly, it makes me think of sort of separate from the majority of society and maybe self-trained and, not formally educated and I think. And I feel like that is who I am when it comes to the buying and selling stuff. I didn't go out and research and learn under someone or get trained or work for another business. I got thrust into it as a result of COVID and my job. and then I had to learn on my own. So I wouldn't say I'm a self-made man, because I don't think that actually exists, but I, in a lot of ways, was self-motivated and had to seek out places and people that I could learn from in order to do it. And a lot of people are like that. I mean, I started out by watching a lot of YouTube videos of people who had already been reselling before me. And now I create those videos to teach people. And it's kind of my way of, I guess the reason I still do it is more because I believe in the power of that. And I like the idea of helping people out. And because if you can learn from my mistakes and watch some of that stuff, you can learn without having to necessarily, you're still going to probably make some mistakes. And honestly, you need to in order to learn a certain way. But you can also avoid a lot of kind of silly things that I did or didn't do through my and other videos like the ones that I make. So I like it. It does earn us a little bit, a tiny bit of revenue also, which is also a reason I continue to do it, because that supplements what I do. And it is still all a result of the fact that I buy and sell things, because that's the content is related to what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I think about, as a former educator, I guess we're always an educator or whatever, but I spent a lot of my life in just sort of thinking about how people learn. And one of the things that's been lost in American society in general, not totally, there's plenty of places where it still exists, is sort of intrinsic wisdom. So you would live with in a community, and maybe you would have your father and your grandfather, or grandmother, whatever, or older people in a society, in the village or whatever, that would teach you these things. So like, I learned this thing. We bought this little thing called a Looney Box for my daughter when she was much younger. And it turns out the Looney Box, great idea, great concept, but I've had two and they've both broken. And I'm like, I kind of want to share that with people. Don't buy the Looney Box because it might break.
Or
it's very fragile.
Box? I've never even heard of that.
It's a little audiobook thing for kids where they do like share their own adventure. And it's for like 3 to 7 year old type thing. So it's not, but my point about it was like, wow, I learned something only because I practically went through it. So same thing about reselling or anything we do. I'm constantly online with fellow podcasters. I had somebody reach out to me recently that was asked me a question about some things around podcasting and how you do this and how you do that. And I realized that we lose wisdom because we don't necessarily have people in our life. We're not living next to our parents a lot of times. Like your parents live still in Missouri, correct?
They do.
And it's not like you can't get on the phone with them and you can't ask questions, and that's always a part of it. But there's something about being in proximity with people. And I like to think that the What's Old podcast is that proximity. I really believe that we're creating a community here of people that are reselling and just saying, hey, we're not in competition with you. We're just simply here to help you not make the same mistakes we've made. And like you said, probably going to make some of those mistakes anyway. Yeah. But as we branch out and as we grow and as we do different things, we continue to learn. You and I talk about this stuff all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, there's lots of reasons why we do it. But I think when we synthesize this back down to what we started talking about, Rusty is the culmination of a lot of your learning. And Rusty just so happens to take the path of a kind of a fine country gentleman who just everyone's his cousin, Right. And there's something really sweet about everyone being your cousin. So I implore you to continue to keep Rusty alive,
thank you.
Matt.
Yeah, people, and it is fun to see people buy into that world that I kind of. It's a joke, but also there's truth behind it, because I personally very much am a person that believes in community, living with people, learning from them, helping them, and them helping you, and that is the ideal. This is weird, though, to some people, or it's hard because, and you can correct me if you feel like you have a different experience, but at least it occurs to me that we are constantly bombarded in media by famous people, whether they're wealthy or just actors or musicians or whatever, that this idea of being a self-made person, and that's the idea. The ideal is if you can learn to do everything on your own and you don't need anybody anymore. and that's what society seems to value, is these people who are heads of these companies, and it doesn't matter what they had to do to get there, but they don't need anyone else because they can do it themselves. And the whole idea of, hey, we're all cousins here, is just sort of a kind of jokey way to say, we're going to do this together, aren't we? I'm going to teach you what I've learned. You're going to teach me what you've learned. We're going to get into relationships. We're going to find mutually beneficial things to do, or in the case of buying and selling, it's transactional. I can help you. I can sell something for you because you don't have the skill or knowledge to do it. We can consign things. I make money when you make money, and the more I can make for you, the more I make for myself, and it's a win-win situation. But in general, I think that the message is wrong. I don't think that I don't think that the ideal is to be everyone being islands. I think that we be good at what you're good at and help other people, and they can help you, and then we can all coexist in the same place. We don't need to be on our own. I don't think I'm explaining that as well as maybe I feel it, but
yeah, I think that part of that is sort of, we have this ideal in America a lot of times where it's like, yeah, it's competition. It's the free market, and you got to get out there and you got to make it. And if you have to step on a few people on the way, it's like, no, Rusty doesn't step on anybody on the way. And you said this twice. You said that we used the word joke. I don't think Rusty's a joke. I think Rusty's a bit of a parody.
Correct.
It's a parody of a person that we might know, but that is not a bad person, because the accent, we oftentimes equate that with, oh, he's just an uneducated hillbilly. That's not true, man. I mean, there are plenty of people that don't talk just like us or look just like us or think just like us that have a lot of wisdom to share. And I think that, I think about all these different, like Mr. Rogers, right? Now, Mr. Rogers is probably a bad example because I think he actually was that way. I saw the documentary on him and I'm like, whoa. But the idea that we have, like, for those of you oldies out there in that crowd, the Howdy Do show, I think it was Mr. Green Jeans or something. There's these characters that come along. Miss Marianne and Romper Room, for those of you that are really old, remember that. I had Miss Marianne and Romper. But obviously that's not who the person is. They're an actor. They're playing a role. But it doesn't mean you cannot learn from them. And there's something incredibly powerful of learning from somebody that is in a role. Rusty,
I think it's actually even easier to be the role, because then it's not so on the nose. It's not like I'm coming in and saying, this is my worldview, and this is why I'm trying to persuade you. This is why you should think the same way I do. When you have sort of that character facade or a veneer, well, my buddy Chris described it as a veneer, which I thought was kind of a cool way of conceptualizing it, but it almost takes down a barrier. There's no defenses now. Oh yeah, we are cousins. Like, ha, I can get on board with this now because you're not trying to convince me of something. You're just living it. And I can buy into someone living a thing because I'm seeing the results. The results are what I want too. And you know what I mean? It's almost like, my goal is not necessarily to persuade people, but I guess in a way, my goal is to I want to educate people, not just about the nuts and bolts of how to buy and sell, but in a way, it's kind of about how can we do this type of work in more of a relational and kind way, because I would contend that doing that actually is the best way. It not only to treat people well, but because it results in a better business model.
Yeah, and you sleep better at night. Magically, there's something to be said about being kind to people, and that, we've had overwhelming positive response from people that have reached out to us. I'm amazed. I'm like, wow, so this person was asking a question about X or wants to do this. And, you and I are friends, and we started this because we thought, that would be really a fun podcast idea. And it's sort of morphed and grown into this thing that I guess I never really expected it to, but I love that it has. I feel like the people that reach out to us, it's going to sound so cheesy and I don't want it to be, but our cousins, the people that reach out to us in a very familiar way. And they don't know you and they don't know me, but they're kind, and they're like, hey, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And, I think so oftentimes we live in a world that is so snarky and so, kind of mean-edged at times, where it's like, especially I live in this podcasting world, and I'm constantly talking to people, and you're always reaching out to people, hey, would you like to be a guest on this show or whatever, because I produce other podcasts, and I'm amazed at how oftentimes people don't even respond. And you're like, okay, well, and I have a rule of thumb that when someone reaches out to me, I will respond, even if to me, it's like, hey, there's lots of technology. You could create a boilerplate response. I get it. You're very, very famous. People reach out to you, but you could just say, thank you for your email. Really appreciate it, whatever. So I think that for me, that's the part of what I like the most about this show, and that I hope the show continues, for a time. I mean, I don't know what that looks like. No one ever knows where, as the Gospels, or as the epistle would say by James, do not say what business you will do in the next town, or we are but a mist. And I think that's good philosophy, whether you're a Christian or not, is that there is something to be said about, hey, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We had no idea 7 weeks ago that we were going to absolutely get punished by a hurricane. I think even the day before, people were like, it's probably just going to miss us. And because, they always say all these storms, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you realize, no, this is worse than what I thought it was going to be. So
yeah, way worse.
We're just grateful to be doing this. And so it's fun. I'm glad that people are reaching out to us. Remember, if you get a chance, folks, to like and follow and subscribe, those are super helpful. Again, the reviews on anything are great because it tells people, if other people are doing this, that it's helpful to them. There's a lot of reseller stuff out there, but I would argue that Rusty is the best reseller thing out there for people that are actually trying to learn how to do this. So.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't know the most, and I do mean, it takes, it takes a village. Don't just watch Rusty videos. Watch, you need to get out there. But there is a camaraderie that you kind of described among people. If you're listening, you're following. We have things in common already. We both engage with YouTube. We both are interested in the value of things, or we buy and sell things. Maybe we both live in North Carolina or in a similar region. Like, there can all be kinds of things that we have in common just from the beginning. And so it is cool to hear from people. I'm getting messages a lot now, people who've been watching our channel but didn't know until the hurricane hit and I started covering some of that I lived where I live. And they're like, oh, I live in your town. Over the last year, I've met probably half a dozen people or more outsourcing, or out at a restaurant, and someone's kind of staring at me, and I'm like, I think I recognize them because I'm really good with faces. And then the next day I get an email and be like, hey, I think I saw you at Wendy's or whatever. When I was like, yeah, I was with my kid.
Holy guacamole.
Exactly. And so that's cool because then, I can actually engage with some of those people in real life and as who I really am, which is I still embody that character. I don't keep up the veneer. I'm not, well, hey, it's like, well, hey, thank you for tuning in and what do you got going on? Are you doing the stuff here? Is there anything I can learn from you?
Yeah, I think
that's cool.
I think you're really going to have made it when, what is it, that Kathy Bates movie where the author that she holds in prisoner.
She kidnaps somebody
when you get your own stalker
and
they're mad at you for not being Rusty, that's when this show will have officially arrived when that happens. I'm like,
well,
hey,
in case
guys.
anyone out there is wondering, listen, you do not have to lock me up. If you just say, can you please be the character? I'll do that. You don't have to take me home.
I'll live in that
family,
body.
okay?
Absolutely. Let's do this. All right. Well, listen, we are getting ready for the holiday coming up. We have a show that's going to drop on Thanksgiving. This will drop the following week. But we wanted to talk today, and Matt is wearing, by the way, for those of you that are listening and not watching on YouTube, we're slowly but surely populating YouTube with these shows, and it has been quite a journey for me because the company I use is not helpful. But Matt is wearing the sweetest
kind of retro-looking,
flat build, retro, like somebody would have worn in the 1970s Arizona hat.
It's not my style really, but it's retro. And Arizona, cool. I wish I had one for New Mexico. No offense, nothing against Arizonians, because there's definitely cool things in that state. But for me, it's like New Mexico, southern Utah. As far as like outdoorsy, really, really so many things to do. And honestly, a lot in Arizona as well. A lot of land that's sort of, it's kind of the Wild West out there. So you be driving for a long time in the middle of New Mexico, and you're like, man, this is a rugged place.
A lot of desert, high desert.
Beautiful.
Santa Fe is an interesting town. I would love for us to go and do a show in Santa Fe, New Mexico, because it's a little bit like Asheville in the sense that it's a tourist town, but it's also the state capital. So
Large
there's a
arts
lot
community.
going. Large arts community. The what was the name of the artist that forget her name? She did the flowers. Anyway, there's a whole museum of her work. It's beautiful. I'm just blanking on it right now. But yeah, no, Santa Fe is a great town. New Mexico's beautiful. But I do like the Arizona hat. I gotta say, you are rocking the Arizona hat. It does look good.
Features some cacti as well.
Yes, the plural of cactus. Absolutely. All right. So Matt, what did you sell this week? Did you sell anything at all? Because I know you're getting ready to head off and have some vacations and party and drink some eggnog. But
Yeah, there will
Did you
be
sell
no
anything?
consumption of eggnog. Get out of here with that eggnog
What?
junk.
People,
That's
if you have
gross.
never tried Pennsylvania Dutch eggnog, do yourself a favor and go pick yourself up a bottle. It is delicious.
Or go drink literally anything else that you can find. It's fine.
I love eggnog.
Okay.
Those
A
of you
lot
that
of
love
people are
eggnog,
turning this
please-
off. A lot of people are turning this off right now. Oh, Rusty doesn't like eggnog? Fine. I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, it's
Hey,
just
folks, I
personal.
love eggnog. So what'd you sell?
I sold a handful of things I'll show today. One is this. I pull this up because I know you're big into the pocket watch /
Yeah.
old school things like this. This is just a little gold tone. It's actually gold filled, but it's a Bulova pocket watch. The face and the dial is pretty rough and worn. It does still operate though. It's still sold for $50. I paid $10 for it, which, when I'm selling or paying that much money, I'm shooting for a 10x there. So if I'm spending 10, I'd rather get closer to 100. But it's not a big deal because I bought this not individually. I bought this in a group of some
Is that
other
part
things.
of that big collection of watches you bought?
Oh, yeah, one of several that I've bought
Right.
this year.
Well,
but yes,
I have a little add-on to that story, Matt. My family and I have a tradition of we really love Christmas ornaments, and whenever we travel,
okay,
we don't collect a lot of things. I've said this before, mugs and Christmas ornaments. When we travel, we do it as a keepsake. Like when we're in a place, like if we went to Santa Fe, we'd get a Christmas ornament from
we've
Santa Fe.
done that as well when we travel.
I really enjoy those people that try. It's just fun because every year at Christmas we put it up and we go. We got this when we were in, and my daughter loves it, and so
Yes.
we actually decorated our tree early because we're having family over for Thanksgiving, and we usually do it after the Thanksgiving holiday.
Mhm.
But this year, I think because of the hurricane and everything else, we decided we're gonna go. And I don't know if you've noticed, Matt, but a lot around town, around Western North Carolina, Christmas has come very early. I think
yeah,
a lot of West North Carolinians
We
are
need
just like,
a win.
we need
a
some
win
joy.
here. Yeah, that's exactly
we need
right.
some Christmas joy and spirit. And so it's funny, like how much Christmas stuff is out there already, and not in a
Exactly.
commercial way. Just people want to get into the season of it. So we
It's also
decorated our
out there
tree-
in a commercial way.
Well,
I'm starting to
well,
see it hit. Yeah,
sure,
for sure.
sure, but that's no different than ever. But
I know.
I find that people I know are getting more into it. I've stocked up on my Pennsylvania Dutch eggnog, as I know you're very excited.
If I get any, I'll send it right to you.
Please do. But so you gave me this beautiful pocket watch, and I need to get a chain for it. Having a pocket watch is an interesting thing. I really feel like you need to have a what do they call that? A vest coat with it and with a chain and all that. But I had this watch. I've been having it. I've been trying to figure out how to make it work. It works, but I can't figure out how to change the actual numbers on it, or the long hand, there's large hand and short hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing with it at our little counter, and I was like, and we were decorating, and my daughter's like, Daddy, that would be really good on the tree. And so we tied a little
Cool.
thing to it, and it's super heavy.
Well, yeah,
But
right.
we hung it on one of the bigger branches, and it's this. The reason I'm saying this is I was like, that's the most amazing Christmas ornament. It's beautiful. It's just watch.
Well, could you imagine an entire tree holding
Yes.
pocket watches?
I was
That
thinking
would
about
be
how
incredible.
beautiful that would be. It really truly.
Well, I'll get you a
I am
chain.
grateful.
I got multiple chains here, so I can
I
hook
am
you up.
good with. I just love the fact that I think I'm going to keep it as
Yeah.
our Christmas ornament. I
I
think
know
it's just
somebody
really
that can
cool.
repair it too. So if you just get it to me,
Dave.
yeah, Dave, yeah, he'll do it for free. So I'll just do it.
Nice.
He likes
Anyway,
to do it.
I don't
but-
even know if it's broken as much as I don't know how to fix it. So I think it's operator error.
Okay.
Anyway, so we did decorate our tree yesterday with all our stuff, and the pocket
Awesome.
watch is very prominently displayed on the tree.
I enjoy buying and selling pocket watches. They always sell. They've got a very high sell-through rate. For those who don't know what I mean by that, if you're to take the number of items, say, in eBay that are available at any given time, and then you search to see how many have sold, it will show you how many have sold in a 30-day period of time. So if you just divide that number out of the total that are available, then you'll see what percentage of available items in that category sell every 90. And it will change. It's not always the same, but it will, unless there's a major fluctuation in the market, it will stay generally the same. So if you have something that's in the 30, 40, 50% or above sell-through that rate, that means that every 90 days, half of the things that were available sold. And that's a high amount because they could all be priced differently. So I like to get those when I can. Another kind of fun surprise of something that I sold, it wasn't a surprise to me, but it was a surprise when I got them. This is a little pair of cufflinks, and they're just, they look silver. They're silver tone, and in the middle they have a little stone. But the thing that's unique about them is that they are solid 14 karat white gold, and these stones are diamonds. Wow. I bought this from in a large lot of jewelry that was a combination.
Are they cufflinks?
They are cufflinks. Yep, they are cufflinks. A large lot of other types of jewelry, mostly silver. And I'm almost certain that when I bought this, the guy that sold them to me, he was taking these multiple pieces and he was weighing them. So he was weighing the silver in groups, and then he was writing down the price, and then we figured out what made sense for him to sell and me to pay for. But these were in that. So when I pulled them out, again, I always have to pay attention before I sell them because, if these had been, even if they'd been silver, but they were James Avery or some kind of brand that people collect, then I would sell them for more, sell them individually. I looked at them, and it turns out they're 14 karat solid gold. I tested them, they're fine. So I probably only paid, these weigh, I'm guessing these weigh about 10 to 12 grams total. And so I probably only paid $8 for them. Let's just say $8 to $10, if that. But they sold for $399, and it only took 48 hours to sell them. So if you can come across...
sold them but people that bought them are going to use them as cufflinks.
I believe so, yeah. They're probably a gift. We're in the end of November here. We're approaching December, and people are out buying Christmas gifts right now.
Yeah.
A lot. And so, that's why the fourth quarter is usually a pretty darn good quarter, if not the best quarter of the year. So about now, a little bit before now, but now through the end of the year, I should be getting... It depends on the value of my items, how much I get, right? What I have in the store at any given time. But I should have a higher volume of sales than other months because people are out buying in droves right now because of the holiday coming up.
Right.
So December's good. People pay a lot for things. More for things now, especially Christmas-oriented items. If you have Christmas-related things, ornaments, vintage stuff, get it out and sell it now because people are wanting to buy it now to decorate their house. People just like Brandon, their kids are like, can we get it out? And you're having this argument about whether you should or shouldn't pull it out before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
And so, but people are looking. And then January is good because people who received money for Christmas are spending that money to buy the things that they really want. So both those months, the outlook is good. Another thing that I sold was...
full confession here, Matt. Yeah. I love cufflinks. I think cufflinks are the lost art of...
Well, again, I probably have 100 or more pairs, and I also have vintage ones. I also have shirt studs, and those you don't see as much anymore, but where you put them down into the button loops there of your shirt.
Yeah, when you wear a high-end shirt, a lot of people that, they don't necessarily always come with buttons on it. They're actually made to have a cufflink. And so, I don't have a lot of those shirts, but I have 3 or 4 because I used to have to wear a tie a lot. So I just always thought cufflinks were just I don't wear any jewelry or anything, but I always thought cufflinks were sharp. You want to class up your act? Throw some cufflinks on, people.
Yeah, and
you get a pocket watch and a cufflinks.
I don't wear them a lot because I don't have a reason to dress up nicely all that often. But if I'm going to a wedding or something like that, that's the kind of time I would do something. And just for those people out there, somebody might be thinking, I wouldn't have even known to look or to think about them being solid gold. But a lot of thrift stores and antique stores will have these little boxes or baskets, sometimes up on the counter by the checkout, sometimes in the case, where they have like tie tacks, like push pins, tie bars, and they have cufflinks, and they have little old like pins and stuff. Old antique ones. There are a lot of antique cufflinks out there that are made of, way more are made of gold filled, meaning there's like a small amount of gold layer over a base metal. But it was common to have 10 karat, 14 karat, and 18 karat solid gold cufflinks. And they still make gold and silver cufflinks in modern times, but just not as many. So I have on a number of occasions bought and sold solid gold and sterling silver, cufflinks, tie bars, things that I may have only paid 50 cents for in a little basket, because when they get that stuff in, they aren't looking to see what it says inside the metal. They're not taking the time to really research it. They're just looking at the chart and it says, these items are 50 cents or $1 a piece, and they just toss them in a little basket. If you just take a minute or two and you look through them, you might be surprised. And, at that cost, even if somehow they didn't turn out to be, like, you can't lose in that situation.
Right.
You may not make a ton of money, but it's like, it's not about, are you going to make money? You are going to make money. It's just how much and how long will it take? So these, I would have been fine letting these sit for months at $399 because they cost me so little,
Right.
But I
they're
was
easy
just
to
happy.
ship.
Oh, man, they cost me $4.50 essentially to ship. USPS Ground Advantage is what I use. I put them in a little bubble mailer that cost me approximately 15 cents, and that's it.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty easy. I'll give you two more things that I bought and sold. This little bag has got a bunch of gold tone mixed jewelry. It's earrings. It's all the items I just talked about a moment ago, including necklaces, bracelets, pins that have genuine sapphires and diamonds in them, whatever. But the thing that these all have in common is that they are gold filled. So most of them, especially the antique ones, say 1/10 or 1/20th, 10K, 12K, 4. They have a filling on the outside of a base metal, but that outside filling is gold. I can sell this stuff usually for about, if I wait long enough, about $1 a gram. If I want to sell it quickly, I'll sell it for less. I sold this bag for $750. It was about 1,023 grams. So I sold it at a discount. If I had waited long enough, I might have been able to sell this for $1,000.
Well, how much did you pay for it? Or is that just stuff you collected over time?
This is all stuff that I got out of other lots, lots that I've already sold stuff out of and made my money back. So basically this stuff all was collected, but I have no money left in them because I've already made the money back from the lots that these came out of. So what's cool is I do this with solid gold, scrap stuff, scrap silver stuff, and gold-filled stuff. It may take me a month or two to get up to 1,000 grams. I just wait till I hit about a threshold like that, several $100s, and then I'll throw out some silver. Right now, I have 2 lots of sterling silver that one's probably $750, one's worth about $1,000. I get about 75% of the gram weight off of those. So if it's 1 gram, or like if it was 10 grams, I would get $7.50 for that silver, but I get about $1 a gram for gold. And the people buying this are people who will look for individual items that they think they can sell that have standalone value, and the rest they're gonna melt and they're gonna harvest the gold that is remaining. Gold plated items you can't really harvest the gold from because they are electrically plated. It's like a liquid solution. But gold filling is an actual solid gold layer on the outside of it. So,
wow. That's amazing that you didn't do anything different than what you normally do. You just collected it.
All I did was get a lot.
Value.
And as I'm inspecting things, I'm always separating stuff out first. This one's solid gold, or I think it is, I need to test it. This one's silver, or I think it is, I need to test it. This group is high-end costume jewelry that I'll sell individually. This group is mid to lower-end costume jewelry that I'll sell in small lots. This is broken or not high-quality costume jewelry. I'm going to put this in a large lot to sell by the pound. And then this is a gold-filled piece. This goes in the gold-filled, bag. And I do that. I go to estate sales. I buy lots. I buy boxes full of costume jewelry. Oh, guess what? There were 3 pieces of silver in this. There were 5 pieces of gold-filled jewelry. I separate it all out. And then all these different lots just sort of build up over time. I'm not waiting on it. I'm selling the other stuff individually and doing all my other work. And as I accumulate the stuff, now I have 5 or 6 bags that, together, probably $4,000 to $5,000 worth of things. And I have no money left in those things anymore because I made my money back from all the other stuff. So that's awesome. It's like every 3 months, the stuff I don't have money in anymore, I'm turning that into sales in addition to the other stuff I've done.
Wow. And, that's a perfect example of the wisdom of doing this for a while. Because I'm not sure that if you were a person starting out just kind of the way you did it, 4 years ago, you would have thought to do that per se right away.
No, I've learned
it
that
probably took
through...
a while to be like, hey, wait, if I did this. So those of you that are out there just getting started or been doing it just a little bit, start thinking about that. What items should I save and what items should I, when I buy in lots or whatever. Super cool.
I mean, let me give you an example of something that I just, started learning to do. I've been collecting recently to sell a bunch of antique, like Victorian or Georgian era mourning jewelry. So mourning as in like you're mourning the loss of a loved one. And so it was very common for people to wear jewelry, rings, bracelets, necklaces, lockets, rings that have a little opening in them. And inside is usually strands or braided portions of someone's hair. Hair, by the way, is high in protein. It in certain conditions, it could break down in like a compost heap, for example. It could take months to up to 2 years. But in certain conditions in soil, hair can survive for thousands of years without breaking down. It's kind of an amazing thing that anything beyond bone in our body could survive so long. But there are all these pieces that are 150, 200, 250 years old that were bracelets, and the primary portion of the bracelet is just braided human hair, and the clasp is made out of gold filled or solid gold. Well, I can give you some examples. We can talk about it. I think it'd be cool to do an entire episode on that. But all that to say, I was out at an antique store, and I was already collecting this stuff, and I came across a bracelet like I just described. But it was pretty damaged. So it had torn, ripped, some of the hair with strands were kind of coming out. It wouldn't be the kind of thing anybody's buying to wear. It would just be something people collect. But even in the condition that it was in, it was not real good. So they had brought down the price. I ended up buying multiple items and making a deal, an offer to buy multiple items at a discounted price. But when I held it, I could tell it was either gold filled or solid gold, but I didn't know because it's not marked. So old, it wasn't marked. And I'm not going to test it in the store. I need to buy it first. But I knew I wanted the other pieces. I knew I could make money on that. So I thought, you know what, I'll throw this in there too. I probably paid about $100 per piece that I bought. I bought 5 pieces, I think, something like that. 5 or 6 pieces. I paid between $500 and $600 for everything. So it was about $100 in this piece. I went back, I tested it, and it tested out to be 18 karat solid gold. Both ends, one was like a hook. It looked really cool, like an old school kind of hook, loop and hook clasp. And then there was a center portion that would have at one time probably held a charm or a locket. And so because it was so damaged, and I knew it would be hard to even get $100 out of this the way that it was, and it wouldn't be something you could repair because of the way it was, I actually cut the strands off. I saved the hair. This is the weird part. I saved the hair because if I end up getting good deals on mourning jewelry later on that have the glass opening portion, but there's nothing in it, I will then place some of this hair in there to make it complete like it would have originally been. I don't know whose hair this came from, but it's legal to... I don't know. You can't sell things like ivory and other types of weird carved items, but eBay has no problem with us selling human hair. So... I feel like that's the start of a horror film, Matt. I bought this necklace online and it had human hair, but the hair was haunted. So this is weird. I know awesome. This is a weird thing, but bear with me here. So this is something that I bought at a discount. I found out it was solid gold. I cut the hair off. I saved the hair to use to increase the value of future subsequent pieces of mourning jewelry I buy that are incomplete. I will complete them by putting hair in those locket portions, which is what they would have originally done. So that's going to add value to things down the line. Then I harvested the gold, I weighed it, and the gold weight is worth about $650 in gold weight. So I paid $100. I'm going to make $500 off the gold. And I don't know how much really, because it's just an idea I have that I'll do in the future. But I could track it down the line and kind of see, well, this is what the going rate for this piece incomplete would be. And this is the average sale price of ones that are complete. And I just add those up. But that was a really good buy. So the point is, there are things that I've learned, right, through experience, selling gold, selling jewelry, using mourning jewelry, knowing what it is. I didn't know this starting out. I had to do some sales of my own. I had to search around. I had to see what things are selling for. And when I look at an item, I'm always thinking, what is the best price I get for this item? Is it to sell it as it is, like just individually? Is it to put it with 3 other similar items, sell it? Is it to cut it apart? Do I harvest a stone from this and sell the diamond, sell the gold as scrap? Do I take this amethyst out and replace it with a diamond of the same size now because diamonds are more valuable? Do I cut this hair out and keep it for, all of these things?
Yeah.
And I don't do the same thing with same items. It's just based on what I have, what the going rate is, and what I know I'm going to do in the future. So there's always these different calculations going on when I get things to try to maximize its value.
Yeah, no, that is the very basis of what we've been talking about. I mean, that's you sometimes cannot replace experience, and oftentimes you can't replace. You just kind of got to go through it. I would always say there's a saying in teaching called failing forward, and I really do feel like in a lot of ways that we learn from those mistakes we make far more than we do from the things that we don't do incorrectly. So there's an example of, you just gave us an example, like 3 or 4 things that if you didn't experience it, you may not know it. And guess what? Because you experienced it, someone else does not have to experience it.
Exactly.
So that's super cool. We originally talking about, getting ready for a holiday. And I think we're going to hold off until we get to Christmas on that one, because this show has been so packed filled with little, you know what? I'm going to use this term, Matt, nuggets.
Okay. Ooh.
Nuggets. Yeah,
like gold.
Some gold nuggets in there,
Let me tell
Matt.
you, since we already got on this topic, let me just say a couple more things, because we were talking about mourning jewelry. I'm putting a collection together currently to sell at a high-end auction house that's going to involve rings, pendants, brooches, bracelets, and the theme here is that they all are 100, 150 years old. They're all going to have gold, be solid gold. And they usually mourning jewelry involve similar types of items. So oftentimes they're gold with black enamel, black being like a color associated with death. And sometimes they have portraits on there of the person. Sometimes
I want to do a whole show on mourning jewelry. You're stealing our thunder, Matt.
Okay, well, I think we can do this. But I wanted to say there is if you look it up on YouTube, you can find it, an Antiques Roadshow. And I think they even have just a clip of this thing. But a few years ago, there was a person with a collection of mourning jewelry. I don't remember how many pieces he had, probably somewhere between 30 and 40 pieces. And he said that most of them he had just bought at like yard sales or thrift stores or things like this, because he knew what to look for. They usually involve pearls. They can involve pearls, diamonds, other gemstones. Turquoise is a big one. And just the way that they look, if you start looking through them, you will identify when you see one that it is that from that era, and that's what it was made for. But they estimated his collection was worth between $70,000 and $90,000.
Wow!
With what he had there, and he said the majority of them he paid $20 or less for. Now, the word is out. People know about this. There are a lot of collectors for these things now. So if you go on places like eBay or Etsy, you're going to find high prices. But if you search and you look back frequently, you will find items that are definitely listed for under their current market value, and you snatch those up. I'm looking for higher end pieces that are probably going to cost $2,000 or $3,000 a piece, because those really exceptional ones with large, 2-carat diamonds, for example, or they have some really beautiful, some kind of beautiful design or something that's really unique, or maybe they're made by Cartier or something like that, Fabergé. The collectors out there who have a lot of money really want those things that have that are branded that way and that are rare. And so this is more of a high-end thing. But if you don't know about mourning jewelry, you should look it up. You should familiarize yourself with it, because there's nothing to say that you wouldn't go into an antique store or thrift store and they just have something listed based on the gold weight. It weighs 8 grams and it's 14 karat, and 14 karat right now is $47 a gram or whatever it is. And you do the math and they have it at that. Well, that piece, because it's authentic, it's antique, and it's a mourning jewelry, is probably going to sell for double that. But if you don't know what mourning jewelry is, then you can't make that calculation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about I could go to a number of different thrift stores. Like I was thinking, if I go out west, but if I don't know what I'm looking for, it means nothing. So I could just be picking up junk. I once told somebody, when I look at a piece of sound, I can almost always tell you exactly what's going to happen in that piece of sound. If I look at a 30-second thing, I'm like, this is going to happen in there. This sound or this, and because you've seen it tens of thousands of times. This is where Matt's
clearing his throat like he does all the time.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
I'm so sorry.
You don't hear Matt clear his throat because I clean it up. But
that's right.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like if you walk into some place and you see something that you've seen 1,000 times, you're going to have a closer eye to that. My head is spinning again because I'm like, all these different show ideas are popping up in my head.
Yeah,
I've been
we'll get to
literally
'em.
writing.
We'll get
I've been
to 'em.
writing furiously because I've got I'm like, I want to know this. I want to know that. So what I'm going to do, people, is I'm going to eventually, I'm just going to knock Matt off, take all his ideas, and I will become the king of reselling.
This is
I
the
will
portion where
supplant.
Brandon's learning all the things, and then when he doesn't need me anymore,
Oh yeah.
hasta la
Oh
vista.
yeah. It'll be like a Macbeth thing for sure. All right, Matt, we are out of time. I don't know how we do this. We always are like, oh, I don't know, we're going to be able to do it. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, we're out of time. We will be back with a brand new show. We are getting ready for the holidays. So we're going to be doing a holiday, as my brother would say, a holiday craptacular. We are very excited to start talking about the holidays and holiday selling. So please continue to send us emails. It might take us a little bit to get back to you. I know some of you have emailed us and you're like, hey, those guys said they got. It's probably because Matt and I both have full-time jobs and are out doing lots of stuff, but we will get back to you. Otherwise, please send us any of your thoughts, comments, concerns. We'd love to hear from you. Any last words for the folks, Matt?
Yeah, well, first of all, have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you get to spend time with your family and loved ones and love on them and take a break because it's good for your mental health. But also, I would say if you have Christmas-themed things, old ornaments, unique items, snow globes, old Christmas cards, Christmas-themed postcards that have, especially ones that if they're real picture postcards that have a Christmas tree on them, the highest value of those things is right now. People are buying those at the highest amounts right now. And anything that you have, even if it has nothing to do with Christmas, consider writing Christmas gift after you write part of the title, if you have room left, because there are going to be, like, let's say you have a diamond ring you want to sell. If you put Christmas gift in the title, anybody, even people who are not searching for jewelry or don't even know they want to buy a diamond ring today, are going to search Christmas or search within the category of Christmas items in eBay. And guess what? Your diamond ring's going to pop up because it has the word Christmas in the title. So consider putting things like that because you might increase your sales. People looking for Christmas gifts will somehow come across your item.
Well, that is some Christmas wisdom right there. And we want to wish everybody the best. Back with a brand new show next week. Have a good one.